maybe there are some noobs in here like me that want to get their beaks wet but don't know how.
Yeah, maybe that's a good way to start it off. So yeah, Treasure is, oh man, what's a good good summary? Treasure is building a composable metaverse through the combination of DeFi, NFTs, and gaming. And so we do this through our social coordination token, which is Magic, and we try and source all the value through our ecosystem and infrastructure back to the Magic token. And that's kind of done through a couple different product verticals that we have going on right now. One of them is Bridge World, which just kind of released its first version. Another is the Smallverse. And as you can see, the Smalls are a very viral profile picture and have tons of derivatives. And then, a couple others. Life is coming up, which is headed up by Jumpman. And it was one of our first product integrations. And then ecosystem projects would be Battlefly, run by Treasure OG, who's also incorporating the Magic token. There's Peekaboo, which is a part of our first cohort of the Launchpad that we have started up. And yeah, they have their own token, but they're also kind of using Magic to power their ecosystem. Yeah, the list kind of goes on. There's like Toadstools, the Small Bodies, which is also included in the Smallverse. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild because I've been hearing about small brains for probably the longest time in Metaverse HQ. You even have some PFPs with small brains. And I legit checked the floor today, and the price it was priced out in Magic. And admittedly, I'm new to the Arbitrum chain, if that's what it is. I'm new to the price of Magic, but dude, these small brains, the floor is like, last I checked, 2.85 ETH. That's insane. How much was the mint?
The mint, yeah. So Treasure started out as a free mint, so it was a loot derivative, and one of the issues we saw with loot, and I'm sure John could talk about this extensively if he wants to join in, but loot didn't have a governance mechanism, so it was just mint out your loot, and then that was it. And so we saw that opportunity to introduce Magic, the governance token, to coordinate all this, and everything was a fair launch. So the initial Treasure NFTs, which is just 8 words on a black background, that was all free. The Magic farming, you could stake your Treasure NFT, or you could stake your Loot or N NFTs, and also AGLD to then liquidity farm the Magic.
Whoa! Did you say you could stake your loot?
Yeah, that was at the beginning.
Really? So you could stake your loot NFT on the Ethereum mainnet, and then you would receive. Is Magic on the ETH mainnet?
So it started out as ETH mainnet, and so you could stake your loot and on ETH mainnet at the beginning, and you would you would gain Magic, and then like shortly after, the gas costs were kind of insane to start a game, and so there was a huge migration effort to move all the liquidity and pretty much our whole platform over to Arbitrum. And part of that process, people, depending on how much Magic you moved, you were rewarded the Seeds of Life NFT. You got Legions that way. Even the one of ones that recently sold for like 1.5 million USD, those were a random lottery based on those migrators. And yeah, and the
Holy shit! Hold on, this is a lot to digest. That's crazy. So the timeline for this, right? So you guys launched. It was a free mint on the ETH mainnet, and then you migrated not only all of the NFT assets of Treasure, but also the ERC20 that was on the ETH mainnet. And
yeah,
how long ago was this? Like, what does the timeline look like?
that was all at the beginning of September, and I believe migration was in October. It was about a month of farming, and then it was like the immediate migration over to Arbitrum. And that's around the same time that Small Brains popped up, which was also a free mint. You know, you just had to go into the Discord, draw a monkey with your name, you know, and date, submit it, and yeah, you were rewarded two small brains and a land. And at their peak, all that together was like 10 ETH or so. And it's kind of, you know, little bit of a drawdown to right now it's like 5 or 6 ETH for all those three. And then combined with all the airdrops that holding those NFTs, it's yeah, it's up there.
I think this kind of information is like alpha because, um, you know, my whole mantra is like make plays where people aren't looking and find investment vehicles where, you know, just are slept on. And to have this, I mean, to hear the numbers that you're describing, the value that's like within the Arbitrum blockchain and that migration alone, fucking crazy, right? It's so insane to hear there's that kind of volume and demand in Arbitrum. Is there? This is a new question. Is Small Brains affiliated? Like, how is Small Brains team affiliated with the Treasures team? And then also, what does the Treasures team look like?
Yeah, so the Small Brains team and yeah, and the Life team and Small Bodies team, it's we all kind of share the same labor resources. So Small Brains was you know, initially concepted by John and Pixel Matt, who's the artist. And so yeah, we all work together. It's kind of hard to demarcate where the team ends and begins, especially with community contributors. Um, so it started out as like the treasure team started out as like five or so people who were working for a couple months, and you know it ran up to like 15 or so by the end of the year, and now we're at I don't know like 20 or 25 contributors, and then if you include the community contributors, it's like 50 or so. It's hard to keep track really.
So how do you guys kind of organize that and make sure you're getting stuff done and being efficient and not like redoing someone else's work?
Yeah, that is a really tough question, or yeah, problem. That's actually what my role kind of is. I'm Sisu, the one talking, but I don't have my account right now. But yeah, so I try and help coordinate everyone's efforts, so you know there isn't a double effort anywhere, and you know kind of help people's ideas get elevated to the top. And yeah, it's tough. It does require a lot of eyes everywhere on the ground because we're separated across a few different discords too, and everyone's always so excited to help out. And yeah, so it's tough, but I think we're doing an okay job about it. Like we have you know processes for who wants to brainstorm together. We just set up a bounty board for kind of top down needs, as well as a submission process for people who want to you know uh, either apply for grants or see a need for what can be improved upon.
All right, so if something goes wrong, I get to blame you.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that.
Blame Sisu.
Yeah, but no, I mean, we've only been working with you guys for, I don't know, maybe a little over a week or two at this point. But I mean, it's been awesome to see how collaborative you are, how close you guys are as a team. And I mean, yeah, it's just been really cool. You guys take feedback really well and are obviously just super, super flexible and community oriented, which is something that we value a lot as Metaverse HQ. So I think it's been, yeah, this is a beginning of something really special.
Yeah, I think it's really important to illustrate that like 100% of the team was built from the community outside of the you know the initial co-founders John and Utah. But Garp came in like week one or so and redid the tokenomics, and Tay or Timarege came in and pretty much fleshed out the whole bridge world concept. And so yeah, there was never it's always been community first, and so it's yeah maintaining that type of ethos of how we can build grassroots infrastructure, yeah, is really important to us.
Okay, so maybe dig a little deeper into the treasure lore. Was there ever like any big disputes or, kind of dividing moments, where maybe you had to choose one direction? A lot of people wanted another.
Yeah, I actually think that's kind of like an ongoing conversation because we're split across a couple different product verticals, and labor allocation can become a bit tough at some times about who's working on what or what needs to be prioritized. Because especially like we had a huge token unlock the 24th of January, which like doubled or tripled our supply, and so we were really crunched on just how can we open up our next Atlas mine so that the magic token just doesn't head to zero. And so there was like the whole team kind of came together to build out the first iteration of Bridge World. But now we can, and that's kind of allowed us the runway to take a step back and give the attention to all the other projects that we want integrated and going live.
Ooh, what is Bridge World?
Yeah, maybe End or Tim Reggae can answer what Bridge World is. Either of those two.
Not all at once.
Hi. So I guess, Paul, what's the question? What is Bridgewell?
Yeah, in a nutshell, I mean, there's just so many products like come at me at once, and I'm an Arbitrum noob, but don't worry, I'm in training. Like, Bridge World what is Bridge World?
So like put simply, it's more like a gamified DeFi layer, where people can utilize Legion treasures, in order to go on quests, summon, as well as like craft consumables. And all of it is linked directly back to the mining and the mission of Magic. So we have like the Atlas mine, which is like the core Magic emission. But we're also releasing like the harvesters. So the reason why people would quest and craft is to create harvester parts as well as extractors, which not only builds the harvester but also gives it more boost in terms of like the extractors. And it has this social coordination element whereby guilds and sub-DAO can be formed in order to say, for example, create like a questing guild to supply like treasures as recipes for crafting consumables. So yeah, that's basically it in a nutshell.
Is Bridgeverse its own? So you've got mining, you've got harvesting. And crafting? Is it its own, like it's fit in with the ecosystem of small brains and small bodies and treasure itself? It's like I'm trying to get a better sense of, okay, you have magic, and you mentioned what the mission of magic is. That's what Bridge World is for. Like, what is the mission of magic itself, and what like sort of NFT collections are tied within that ecosystem and realm?
Yeah, so from the beginning, we had magic. We had a certain percentage of the supply be dedicated to ecosystem emissions. So what has happened is that because it's a DAO, we had a vote saying, hey, we want life and the Smallverse to be allowed this magic emissions. And so not only will those projects get a percentage of the magic emissions, but they also participate in kind of like the harvesters that are going to be released for Bridge World, which is kind of a competitive curve convex model for how people can obtain that type of magic emission.
Going back to the start of the question was what is magic, right? And I think at the inception of Treasure, we wanted magic to be the token of the metaverse, where with the inception of the Treasure, we introduced a lot of like these base level resources, donkey, cows, rice grains, etc., that we would build on top of, and the magic would become the token that we use on top of these resources to to use as our Ethereum of the metaverse. And that is sort of what we are doing. And all of these Smallverse, Metaverse, Bridge World life, etc., is just working towards bringing value back into Magic and treasures that we have.
Yeah, you could say like on the TreasureDAO site, it's magic powers everything, or magic is the power, treasures are the resource, and legions are the players. And then you can include smalls, the smallverse, and life, kind of in that model too, of resources and players.
Yeah, basically. Sorry, this is. Oops, fuck.
Sounds like John's in a car.
Johnny's trying to release some alpha.
John, we missed your alpha leak, buddy.
It's like every time he tries to drop alpha, he just gets rugged.
No, I think it's like. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
So, if I were to, enter the Magic realm, the ecosystem that is Treasures and Small Brains and Bridgeverse and all these, really unique and interesting sort of like NFTs, but also like DeFi components that y'all have built in. What is the easiest sort of like path to least resistance to enter the ecosystem? What are you guys doing to like help onboard people, or is it like sort of self-explanatory? Like, if you don't know how to do it, then you're NGMI. Is there efforts to educate the community? Like perhaps maybe this is why the space was so important. I just had a million questions for you guys because I want in. I just don't know sort of where to start, where the path to least resistance is to both join the Arbitrum or understand Arbitrum better, and then also enter this ecosystem that you guys are building on Arbitrum, because it's separate from the other like projects that have different teams that are also building on this similar chain, right?
So maybe if I just use like Bridgewall as like an example. So like with Bridgewall, we have like an onboarding program in the sense that there's one of our mods made some like tutorial videos of how to actually play Bridgewall, as well as like there's tutorials on the white paper online regarding how you can bridge to Arbitrum, and then you can then use like the videos to help as a guidance material on how to say use Magic to purchase a recruit, which brings me to my next point, which is like the low barrier of entry onboarding mechanisms in Bridgewall, which we're envisioning to improve upon. So with that, you pay basically 10 Magic, and you get a recruit legion that you can take on quests to explore like the realms of Bridgewall. It's pretty like simple at the moment, but like we're planning on like improving that in the near future after we sort out some concerns regarding bots. But yeah, that's basically that. And yeah, definitely we can do like a better job of like trying to help people on board and directing them to like the relevant resources. But like I think our Discord is a very good resource for that because the community is generally very helpful. So if you have any questions, you can just come to us or even just ask in Discord, and I think all of them is like more than happy to help.
We have those cultists in the Moon Boys DGen channel. So if anyone is curious about Treasure or anything in general, you just head to the server and then come to the DGen corner, and then someone will be there to help out.
Yeah, there. I like. Oh, Sean, are you trying to speak?
Oh, sorry, I was driving. It was echoing. Am I still echoing?
Nope, you're good.
Nope. Oh, sorry. Yeah, just to return to like what is the Magic thing. So Magic is like a money, and our thesis was that decentralized metaverses require economic activity to turn on and turn into real places. And so Loot, wasn't able to find any traction because like adventure gear is not the economic activity that turns a group of people writing a story together into something that actually can function as an economy, where you have NFTs turning into systems of value that you can build lending, and all kinds of other DeFi products on top of it. So our thesis was that even though this is an imaginary place and the story is like co-constructed by the community, using like a token will be the mechanism to allow a DAO to grow that can not only like function as an imaginary place, but we can start creating the NFT tooling to rival like the centralized players in this sector right now, which is what our DAO has like scaled to that point where we're recouping so much magic through our marketplace that we're recycling into new builders that it's like a metaverse that like continues to manifest just through the sheer financialization of the DAO. And so yeah, our thesis was basically that like fungibility is something that people in NFTs don't appreciate as a social coordination mechanism. So we created the token first, thinking that that would be the mechanism by which the community could actually scale beyond people in a Discord to like, building something that rivals traditional companies.
So you mentioned the DAO. I would love to hear more about how that works and, what exactly it governs and where you guys do the voting or kind of just how that all works.
Yeah, the voting happens through, it's a typical kind of governance process where people can chat in the forum before an official vote goes live in a snapshot. But yeah, usually it's more top down where the council kind of understands what our next needs are. And so we put, whatever permissions we kind of need at the time for a governance vote. So the most recent ones were magic emissions to life in Smallverse, but there are others, to kind of bootstrap what our ecosystem needed at the time. So there was one for sorry, I'm losing my words. Oh, one for like venture capitalists, so we can have we allocated like I think it was like we had a round of 3 million or so USD where uh we could through that round we could provide more of a runway for the team to actually build despite any bear markets that would happen. And so we need the permission of the Magic DAO, right? TreasureDAO, Magic holders, to give that token away OTC and to kind of retain the funding that we need. But yeah, there's a lot more votes that we kind of need in the future. I don't want to give too much plans away, but we've got big plans.
Yeah. Speaking of, giving plans away, which we're totally fine if you want to do that during the spaces, we'll allow it. But I would have to imagine that, you guys are all over the place in terms of the projects. You guys know what's coming, maybe in the Smalls roadmap and Battlefly and all the other games, Bridge. How do you like stop yourself from, front running the news or making the kind of right decisions if you kind of know what's going on everywhere?
I don't own Magic personally. I have team tokens that are vested. I don't own.
Yeah, I just want to add on because I've been getting harassed in DMs that are the VCs that we brought on are aligned for a vesting schedule and have their value added to the team. Like, yeah, they're not just some randos that are type of like a pump and dump type of scheme.
It is an interesting question. We put a lot of thought into like a decentralized metaverse. Like the rules of the world also have to be decentralized. So if NFT communities are coming together to compete over resources, there have to be these rules that aren't dictated by us. So yeah, we've spent like countless hours thinking about how this is going to work. Like on some level, if you standardize the metadata and like then maybe like these things are advancing in tandem and these worlds can collide. But I mean, the next couple of years are going to be really interesting for the whole space when you have these communities who've developed their own like metaverses, which are basically stories and places intrinsic to their community. And then there's going to be kind of like a handshake where that they agree that some aspects are equal across these metaverses so that they can engage and trade with each other. And then like, they'll even start treating their resources as like kind of fungible
And that's a process, but we want to get to the point where like the team isn't actually dictating alpha. We've just created the parameters for other people to build on top of, kind of like a blockchain basically.
So what happens when a project comes to you and says, "Hey, I want to be a part of the Treasure ecosystem"? Is there like an application process in place? Does the DAO vote on it? How does that process work?
Yeah, we're still actively onboarding. Like it's we're still a young DAO, and DAOs are like fragile things that have to be protected. And it was a learning experience for all of us. Like, decentralization isn't something that just like happens. It has to kind of be like nurtured. And so at times you really do have to like be protective of this fragile thing, because there are people who are coming in that don't have the long-term interest at heart. We're trying to bring in like unique metaverse concepts with their own communities that can run them. And, at the end of the day, the DAO is a brand. It is like an organization representing specific stakeholders, and we work for them. So like we're just trying to build the best, most profitable, creative organization we can. And every situation is different, but that's our overarching vision.
Yeah, on more of a pragmatic approach, we do have application processes for people who want ecosystem integrations or to be listed on our upcoming Trove generic marketplace. And so, like when I talk about magic emissions, that would have to go through a DAO vote. But for people who just want to build on top of magic and who work alongside with the team, and aren't clearly in it for the money or trying to rug the community in any way, like we're happy to work with them and provide feedback or resources.
So I think it's really interesting because, seldom do you have this sort of stickiness, this network effect amongst like between NFT collections, that though you guys are sort of intermingling resources, the whole idea is more and more come in and want to build on top of treasures. I think it's brilliant that y'all had the hindsight, or the foresight rather, to like integrate an ERC20 token into the whole thing. When it came to loot, I remember like that entire month, like it was loot season. We were minting literally anything that remotely looked like letters on a 1x1 block of, black color background. And for some reason, those were cooking. But like, there was never any sort of, the whole intention and idea of loot was to sort of take that and spin it into whatever else you were building. And there was really no there was just iterations, or I wouldn't even say iterations, I would just say impersonations rather. And I think what's cool is you guys sort of incentivized building on top of treasures through the ERC20. I don't see, like, for instance, other projects on different blockchains like Zedron, Crypto Raiders sort of like encapsulating and incentivizing this way. There's just sort of like building what they're building. I think there's pros and cons to both of that, though, because there could come to a point where you're spread too thin. Like, what do you guys think in terms of like the next step, the next level to treasures, is like the more immediate like challenges you're facing? And how do you scale up?
Yeah, I mean, we're scaling. Scaling is hard because we went from in September just, Sisu doing a great job explaining, not to step on your toes. I mean, he's been here since the beginning. Most of us have been here from the beginning, but like a lot of people working for the project now, that was the entire community. And now we have like multiple product verticals. So, I mean, what we've done is we've been more silent recently, because a lot of behind the scenes is we're actually just trying to take talent from successful Web2 enterprises where people have actually managed projects at like Google and Amazon at a high level. And they're bringing the kind of professionalism we need to now scale like 10x, because we created a basic framework where we can start onboarding a lot of metaverses very quickly. And, this model where we earn back so much magic through the marketplace that we immediately turn and reinvest in other metaverses. Like we're not eating steak and like partying with that money. We're doing what Amazon did, which is just try and aggressively expand until when you finally do start taking profit, like your first year of profit is just absolutely insane. So we've created like a foundation that we know will work, which is a token to organize the creation of like community built places. And not only does it work, it provides like the momentum and the velocity to like bring in new projects, and then the totality of them working together, economic trade between them. Now you have like effects that are continuing to spiral on each other. I mean, so scaling that is like we're just now trying to bring the best parts of Web 2, which was professionalism and not necessarily like its IP or its user experience, but it definitely had a lot in terms of organizational culture that we're now trying to emulate.
Yeah, I think that really covered the scaling aspect. And then the other part of your question was kind of like, what more do we want to see in the future? And I think a really important part of that is infrastructure. And so we're going to continue, building out these primitives for the NFT metaverses, but also, not forgetting about DeFi whatsoever. And yeah, it becomes a really cool combination when you combine DeFi and NFTs. It becomes a very like 0 to 1 aspect. Because with DeFi, you attract a lot of mercenary capital, but with NFTs, it allows for community coordination, and so that kind of allows, broader terms, the community to actually build up capital together, without giving away any details about the finer elements that we're working with.
Yeah, this NFT DeFi stuff, it's interesting because I personally think like, and I work at Osmosis, which is its own chain, and this is like separate. But if you have protocols that don't have their own chains, like DeFi has no moat. We all learned that in DeFi summer, when you just can't invent an incentive structure to keep people if the only thing they care about is yield. And the only sector in crypto besides like Bitcoin, but it's often its own like island of uniqueness, is and Ethereum didn't do it because chains, people are fundamentally agnostic about chains, but they're not about NFTs because they love their community, provides a unique sense of identity and belonging, and now like earning and all these other things. So like NFTs are just going to start eating DeFi, and all of the code that existed as these DeFi protocols will just like get recreated in specific NFT verticals. Yeah, I mean, this whole sector will scale so much bigger than anyone imagined, because it's like not only just eating DeFi, it's going to eat the entertainment industry and a large part of the like creator economy as well.
So since moving from the Ethereum mainnet into Arbitrum, can you speak a little bit about your neighbors on the Arbitrum blockchain? Are they helpful? Do they want to collaborate? What do they look like? Are you guys like the only NFT projects that exist in Arbitrum right now? I'd love to hear more about if it's been a welcoming chain, accommodating one, to say the least, in terms of builders on that chain.
Yeah, the Arbitrum team itself and the whole chain has been a huge grassroots initiative, because Arbitrum doesn't actually, give out incentives to influencers or other projects to help build on them. Not saying that they won't in the future, and that's not a good idea. But what has happened so far is that everyone who has come to Arbitrum has been completely organic. And so we were actually one of the first projects to, and I think might be the only project, to move our whole liquidity and NFT, collection from Ethereum mainnet to Arbitrum. And yeah, no, we've had tons of support from the Arbitrum team, working closely with them. And yeah, the other giants on Arbitrum, Dopex, and some other ones coming out. Yeah, we've been working closely with them as well. It's yeah. Maybe John, maybe you could touch on kind of what our next plans are with regard to Cosmos as well.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna build our own chain. We've started like evaluating options, and
to just have like a gaming chain. And, you know, Magic, a key function of it is staking. And like the whole thing, if you just put it into like a proof of stake validator situation, makes a ton of sense. Plus we can do stuff on Cosmos that we can't on Ethereum, setting aside like obvious stuff like transaction cost and throughput and stuff like that. But you can build things into the consensus mechanism in Cosmos that's like super interesting. Like, so Osmosis, where I work, we're gonna roll out threshold decryption, which is a way to like encrypt all the transactions in a block, and then they're like revealed a block later. So like if you eliminate front running, you know, that is going to have like a huge gaming application. You can't have a GameFi ecosystem where front running is still a thing, not because of gas costs, because like how could you have strategic moves if like it instantly becomes like pay to win, because you know you'll just outbid the player to like thwart their action that you see in the mempool. So yeah, we can do a bunch of crazy, super cool stuff on Cosmos. Make the consensus mechanism also maybe even just be like an AMM, as opposed to like Magic is the staking token also, which is what Osmosis is doing. But yeah, so like we're gonna develop that, and like all of our games will happen off chain, so it'll have, off Arbitrum, but still on chain, so it'll have all the benefits of gaming.
Yeah, and then we would still retain Arbitrum for the marketplace and other types of commercial activity like that. But yeah, in general, application-specific blockchains are kind of the way forward, right? To have an analogy, you wouldn't have, you know, Photoshop in your browser. It's easier just to have the program itself be a standalone thing.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, and it's obvious to see that, you know, you guys are super well connected on Arbitrum and you have your whole ecosystem. But I'm curious, you know, are you looking to integrate with, you know, other metaverses potentially on like L1, ETH, like, you know, the Sandbox or Decentraland and things like that, and if how that plays into your roadmap, or is that kind of up to the projects at a project level for them to decide?
Yeah, I mean, so we've lived in a world now where like it's all about blockchains, but probably when Web3 really takes hold, it'll just be about DAOs, and blockchains will be, you know, we don't think about like what organizations are building just in terms of like Microsoft Access and SQL and stuff like that, but more of like what are the builders doing, what are the things that are like connecting the builders and empowering them, which is Magic. You know, like our DAO went from having a token that had a $300,000 market cap to like we had like 160 million in the treasury just from our token, because we created a flywheel that can just continue to power new builders. So if that's what's happening, we could, successful DAOs would be like on every blockchain, partnering with like a ton of people, because blockchain won't be the layer one anymore.
I guess all I really want to know is, am I going to get to use my small in the Sandbox?
Yeah, like we already have a couple partnerships. Like Etherworks was one, and they're on L1 with their own scaling chain. And then Mushrooms was an earlier one who they just kind of came in while we were still small and really paid attention to us. But yeah, like the point, you know, is to have Magic be the currency of the metaverse. So yeah, we want to be aligned with all these other projects for sure.
So, question: what if I was like, you know, the Sandbox, and I approached y'all and wanted to collaborate? What would that look like from like a technical perspective? Since you know you're both on different blockchains, um, obviously the future is the connectivity of all blockchains, and I think Cosmos definitely looks to sort of fit that fit that use case. But what would that look like? Is that even possible?
Well, you could like, Yeah, I mean, well, okay. So since we're a DAO, right, most of our decisions about like who to integrate with, who to partner, are what's serving like the organization's ability to scale. And so a lot of people, when they like talk about the metaverse, they're not actually talking about the metaverse. They're talking about like a product that looks like the metaverse, but it was made by a company, and the community can't just like take it and go elsewhere, like the TreasureDAO could do to like all of our IP. So like we could integrate at the level of our IP, like with other stories and like products that look like metaverses, but aren't really, you know. But so our integrations are like, how do we make choices about like which organizations to partner with to continue advancing our ability to make community-made things? And sometimes that might even just be a DeFi protocol more so than Sandbox, if you see what I'm saying. Like, I guess our partners will be like more pragmatic, like Sisu was saying, and maybe more unconventional, because we're not looking like for more places to get our characters. You know, that would be great and stuff, but we're just finding more ways to like get the builders incentivized to keep creating stuff.
Got you. And speaking of builders, you know, love to talk a little bit about Battlefly and sort of our little foray into the ecosystem that is Magic. Thank you so much, by the way, for connecting us with the Battlefly team. Shout out to them. They've been nothing but fucking amazing to work with. They take creative feedback very well. They've been incredibly responsive. You could tell they also don't sleep, so that's both, I guess, a good and a bad thing. And I'd love to hear more about how Battlefly came and approached you guys. Is it like one of the I'm sure it's one of the community members of Treasures. Can you speak more on that sort of like ongoing effort? And perhaps Jacob, we can tease a little bit from the Metaverse HQ account on what we've been working with so far with Battlefly.
Yeah, Avenger's in the audience right now. I invited him up to speak, but maybe he'll come up before I take all the answers.
Maybe we need to make sure he's on his phone and not the desktop.
Oh, that's true.
But yeah, maybe I'll have to tweet something out, and I don't know, that'll get him up here.
Yeah, he's listening, but yeah, Benjer or Ben, he's a Treasure OG. So before I joined the team officially and was kind of still in the audience, what I heard was that, you know, Ben asked the core team what he could do to help, you know, build Treasure out more, and the response was, we need people to build on top of us. And so, oh, here we go.
I'm here. Sorry. Hey, I was on my desktop like a fool. How you doing?
Good. Can hear you loud and clear.
What's up, fam? Welcome.
Thank you. Keep going, Sisu. I'll come in after you.
No, this is your story. You should say it.
So, I think you know, back in October, maybe November, I reached out to the Treasure Council and said, you know, you guys are killing it. What can I do to help? Like how can I help? And they were like, well, we need to start, you know, building out the ecosystem, and we need people to start building, you know, things that exist on top of Magic and Treasure. And I was like, okay, cool, and sort of went away, and they were busy, and I came back maybe 6 weeks later and said, we've got this proof of concept, and it's about, you know, it was kind of psychotic. It was about butterflies that have been militarized with missiles and bazookas and machine guns, and they battle for resources. And I was sort of said to them, I think we can run this, you know, on Magic, and I think it would be a really fun game where people were staking small amounts of Magic and then, you know, winning or losing even smaller amounts. And I guess that they were excited, and they were like, yeah, go for it. And that was sort of it. You know, the ecosystem that we're building on and the composability of it really is evidencing John's sort of initial Medium post around proof of imagination, right? If you can think up an idea, if you can think up a way to build a story within that and attach it to this incredible community, then the treasure universe allows you to do that really well. So it's grown a lot. It's really exciting, and we're here sort of less than 30 days from launch, and it's amazing how quickly we've been able to build what we have.
I think it's important to illustrate, someone was asking earlier, I think it was Mitch, like, how can I get in the ecosystem? And I see that as a couple different ways, right? You either, are already the whale and can afford your legion and your treasures and whatnot to start earning in Bridge World, or you can buy out, all the smalls and earn in the upcoming Smallverse game. Or you could take the, the better approach, quote unquote, which is kind of what Ben is doing. And it's more the accessible way of, hey, people, we don't want to bury your people based on their capital, but instead we want to have them succeed based on their time. And so Battlefly really illustrates that well with, it being more of an accessible game for all entrants rather than those with capital.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things it's in our tokenomics post that I read it yesterday and I smiled, but Battlefly is essentially a time/magic liquidity pool. For people who don't have a lot of Ethereum but want to get into magic and get exposure, time is what they can bring, and magic is what they'll get back.
Time as in temporal, not Wonderland, of course.
Oh God, no.
That's awesome.
Temporal time as it existed for before 6 months ago. Yeah.
Are you about to give me a Matthew McConaughey "Time is but a circle" or a dude, I'm really excited for Battlefly. I mean, can you tell us more about this game? What inspired you? I can tell we all have like a massive gaming background. The way that I like to think of DeFi is actually through video games. Like I reminisce about RuneScape. I reminisce about like games like MapleStory that sort of had like these paired with in-game mechanics. There was really a tokenomics to it that was really quite intriguing, and I think that's like where the connect is for me when it comes to just like being in the NFT space. I really am not as well versed in DeFi and more specifically crypto than I think I probably should be, especially considering how much we depend and love Ethereum. So I'd really love to hear more about your background in terms of gaming and learn about this awesome product that you're building on top of Magic.
Yeah, so I guess I spent a big part of the last 10 years running or being the technical co-founder of a startup that built fantasy sports and esports games for most of the major sporting codes in the world. So if you've ever been in sort of one of those draft leagues where you pick your team and then they score points for you and you sort of win against your friends, chances are that was on something that I was part of the team or leading the team that built, and I learned a lot from that around how to build these games that can have millions of people playing them. And one of the things that really stuck out to me, sort of a year or so ago when I was starting to look at this space, was how small the worlds were. There were thousands of people, sometimes tens of thousands of people, but very, very rarely were they the millions of people that I was sort of used to with some of these larger sports. And then the other thing that I've been doing is running an agency, and with an agency you get really good at listening to brands and thinking about products and technology in a way that enables brands to want to be part of that world that you're doing. And I think one of the missing gaps in the metaverse at the moment is a organic way for brands to play. That isn't just we've bought this big block of land on the sandbox and now we've got 4 people in marketing trying to figure out what the hell we're going to do with it, but actually giving them a canvas to play with and to interact with and to bring their audiences to. So I sort of come at Battlefly with that background. I'm not I don't have the DeFi smarts of most of the people who founded Treasure, but I do have this sort of ambition, as does the rest of the Battlefly team, around building this this mass player game that can have hundreds of thousands, and if we're really successful, potentially millions of players all sort of coming in with their 10 or $20 worth of Magic, whatever it is at that point in time, and having a good time. So yeah, and in terms of the gameplay itself, you know, the thing that we're finding we're getting the most feedback on is people saying, why aren't you making these rarer? And the answer is, well, you can't build a mass game with 5,000 NFTs. You need a lot of them. But secondly, you know, there's no lottery aspect to Battlefly, really. There's a bit of luck involved, but you know, the people who end up holding the most expensive Battleflies will be those who have played a good strategy, who have staked, I guess, you know, sensibly, have farmed and made some really good decisions around mods and been a little bit lucky. And I just love the fact that somebody's going to be able to take a sort of free mint and similar to what happened with Smalls, right? Is just turn it into something that's worth a lot more because they invested some time and got the strategy right.
Yeah, I think two things. First, I couldn't agree more. I think the approach that you're taking, like, yes, you might not be like a DeFi head, so to speak, but having that sort of like branding experience, being able to like translate properly how a Web2 based brand might move into the metaverse. I think that insight's really helpful. Uh, and also, Sisu, I don't know if you're sweating, bro, but Ben just said millions of users on Magic, so y'all better get cooking. This is gonna be insane. How does your team, or I guess Ben, how would you guys fund the development of Battlefly based off of a free mint? Because a lot of the times, you know, with an initial NFT collection launching, that is sort of like their Series A, where they can go and build, and then perhaps do a, you know, the Bored Apes did with Mutant Apes to do a Series B. How do you become profitable as a business so that you can innovate?
Yeah, I mean, I guess firstly, I was incredibly fortunate to find Magic early, and you know, I think anybody who did and held through the first few months of you know of building has probably done pretty well. And so I kind of saw this as you know my gift initially back to the ecosystem, just to try and sustain it and pay back a fraction of what I got out of it. And then as we sort of started to see, you know, get beyond a POC and think, well, this is actually something that people are getting pretty excited about. I mean, the first part is building a scalable game that isn't expensive to run, right? So that's sort of what we've done. So it's not like we need the infrastructure of Epic Games to run this thing. It's browser based and it's pretty lightweight. Secondly, we've had 215 or so founders join us, and each of them paid sort of an average of about 1.5 Ethereum to join, with, you know, promises that they will be rewarded if the game is as successful as we hope it to be. So, you know, I think that those people who are they're just individuals, and a couple of DAOs who are like, we want to help you build this, have really been a game changer for us, because they've given us a long runway to keep building something cool and some space not to have to sort of sweat about how we're going to get there. And then thirdly, I think, you know, the Magic emissions right now are pretty incredible. And you know, one of the things that we're trying to do with Battlefly is find a way to get more exposure to as much of the Magic emissions as we can, and funnel those rewards back into the game and also ongoing development. So, you know, I think this is all by design. I think the I guess the environment for people to build games on top of Magic, with the emissions doing what they are, with the community as engaged as it is really good timing for that.
All right, Ben. I can't wait anymore. I think I gotta post it.
Yeah, you should drop it. I'm so excited. You know, like the Metaverse HQ Battlefly edition, I think will be the rarest edition. It is the rarest edition going into season 1 launch. You should post it, and I just can't wait for people to start to realize how exciting it's going to be when all these different sort of NFT projects have their editions popping up on L2 and Arbitrum, and one of our founding sort of principles that we talk about a bit as a team is one of the best experiences you can have as a human is when you go to a party at someone's house and a whole bunch of people you didn't expect were going to be there suddenly turn up, and you're like, I don't know what in the universe sort of conspired to make this happen, but they're just great nights every time it happens. And we kind of want to make Battlefly feel like a bit of a house party that's gone really well, with all these NFT projects, popping up to say hi with their unique editions and battling together and against each other, and we're figuring out lots of ways to make that fun and exciting.
I just wanted to add, Battlefly is like the best partnership we could have made. Like, we could have gone out and partnered, with even if we could have partnered with like a brand name metaverse. Here's this thing that like a community member built. It brought revenue to the DAO through the marketplace. And like with that, we can now fund the next wave of builders. And Ben also, he is one of the oldest members of our community. And when the project was basically dead, was even willing to help us keep it going. So that he brought us Battlefly like this has just been amazing. I just wanted to just add that about how invaluable he's been to the community over time. But because of that and like what he's helped us build now together as part of this DAO, we have made magic that we can just seed new builders with, which is what we're doing. Just finding teams that have promising projects and paying it forward. So Battlefly is a great project, and it's also helped just put us in a position where going forward we can convince projects to do free mints, which we have done, and they'll still build because we can pay them to build it up front.
Yeah, that's a great model. And if you haven't seen it yet, Metaverse HQ just tweeted it out, and we got it pinned up there. The golden snitch of Battlefly is what I've named it. We'll see if that name sticks. But yeah, it's truly an honor to be, the rarest Battlefly in the bunch. And we appreciate you for, working with us on the vision, and are so excited to see it in action.
And look, we can't trade in these yet because we haven't done our mint, but I'm opening the bidding at 5 ETH for that, or whatever that equivalent is in Magic for that golden snitch Battlefly. It is my favorite by a long shot. So
Ben, I'd love to. Maybe we have a bet right now. What's the over under you think on the gold Battlefly 10 ETH over under?
I mean, it's got to be at least, to me, it's got to be at least 20,000 Magic, I think.
I think Jake is gearing up his ETH and bridging the Arbitrum as we speak.
Yeah, I need to fire up that bridge. Send her over.
Yeah, 69 Ether FUD.
Yeah, Ben, I just got to say, I don't know who the creative is behind it, if he's in the audience, he or her, but they have been killing it, collaborating with Jacob. I just sort of been watching the creative process, and to get to this point, there's been a lot of back and forth. Can you speak a little bit about your team, and is it just you two? Is it how are you scaling up? How are you approaching this? It just sounds like there's so much collaboration and back and forth that there's no way it's just two people.
No, there's a bunch of us. So initially there was sort of just a couple of us that were building the POC, and then Jean joined the sort of treasure community and did some fan art, and I saw it on Twitter, and I was like, oh my god, this is incredible. This I've been trying to explain to a bunch of people what Battlefly was in with words, and I was like, that's what it is in visuals. And I reached out to him and said, building this game, and he said, I'm a board game designer. That's what I've done for the last 15 years. And I was like, oh, that's cool. The thing about board games is I think if you can make something made out of cardboard that much fun for so much time, then you can definitely make something screen-based, entertaining. And he joined as co-founder, which was just been awesome because we've really sort of leveled up on how ambitious our gameplay's been. We've had Shinobi join as sort of the product lead, and again another member of the community, and who sort of reached out and said, where can I help? And one of the things I've learned from the TreasureDAO is if people say, where can I help, and you give them an honest answer, then they'll jump on board and build with you, right? And then we've got a team of devs, about 7 all up, against a couple from the community, a couple that are we've just hired, who are sort of pitching in and helping build out all the UI, and then the art. It's been incredible. We opened the Discord. I was sort of expecting 1,000 people to be in there, and a few people just started creating their own wing art, and one of them, Hasbullah, has now joined the team in a part-time capacity, and he was just knocking these incredible designs out, and I said, man, like, do you want to help us and create a whole bunch of battle flies that are cool? And he was like, yeah, he kind of loved it. Some people just love designing wings for battle flies, and you can kind of see why. And so, yeah, but so much of what we build is community created and community sourced and found, and it's such a fun way to build. When you're doing it like that, because it's distributed team. We've got people in Korea and Myanmar and France and US and Australia and Hong Kong and Singapore, and we're round the clock and having a lot of fun building something that should be a lot of fun to build, because if you can't have fun making battle flies have missiles attached to them, then when are you ever going to have fun?
Sorry, I just want to clarify one thing. The creative director of Battlefly is Jean, or spelled Jean. It is not John Patton.
Oh, no, it's not. He's busy.
Yeah, I've had those questions before.
He's got a lot on.
He has a beautiful voice and an accent as well.
Yeah, and Jean has been working with, or Jean as it's pronounced on Twitter, but it is actually Jean. Sort of when he started, we had maybe 20 different mods for the Battleflies, and he said, "Oh, Ben, that's not nearly enough." And I was like, "Oh, do we need to double it?" And he's like, "No." And he came back, and he and Pragmatic, who've been working on this together, came back with 240 weapons and utilities and systems, and said, "Now this is a game." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's cool."
Yeah, I mean, man, I'm just so excited for Battlefly, and the way you described it was so beautiful, with having friends show up at a party that you weren't expecting, and just having that fun atmosphere. I feel like everyone knows what that feels like, and it's just such a good feeling. So just the ethos and everything you guys have done has been so great up to this point. And going through the design process, we must have changed it at least 50 times before we got everything just how we wanted it. And I'm already ready for season 2. Like, I want to start seeing what we can do next, and how we can up it next time, and what we want the supply to be. So
I think we've got 20 partners lined up for season 1. You guys are the rarest, but there's a bunch of others that are really cool. Etherworks have created an incredible design as well, and there's a bunch more that we'll be announcing over the next sort of week. But we're the new player in the space. Like, our responsibility is to bring your brand to life in a way that I guess supports and enhances it, not kind of compromises it. And I think we've had a couple of initial conversations where people are like, I don't think we ever saw our NFT art, or we saw our project or our logo sort of, we never thought about it being on a butterfly with missiles attached to it. And it's like, well, yeah, that's part of the metaverse, right? It's like that's the proof of imagination part. And I just think people are going to absolutely love hunting these down in the marketplace, and if people want to part with them, there'll be a queue of people ready to line up and buy them.
It's funny how you thought there would be only like 1,000 people or so the first week, because whenever we announce a new partner or project or something, it's easily 10,000 in a couple days. And like Peekaboo up right now is like 30-some thousand, and Toadstools is up 30K. There's probably a lot of bots there too, but yeah, Battlefly is up north of 30K. It's absolutely insane.
It's the community, right? And I think we saw that in the great unlock of Jan 24 is the community is so strong and so invested, and amplifying this. And if every person, I think, who gets what Treasure is and what it's becoming, and what Magic is and is becoming, they tell at least 5 people, and at least a couple of those people sort of will dig in, and so it's got this. It does have a network effect, and I don't think people have wrapped their head around that. When we do our mint in under 2 weeks now, the number of wallets holding Magic will double, because we're bringing this whole new audience that hasn't been part of Magic and Treasure before, along with the existing audience that's excited for something new. So every new project, every builder sort of just makes the network stronger, which is, I think, how decentralized projects should work. It's not forced or manufactured in any way.
Yeah, and just for everyone in the audience, there's like 17,000 unique wallet holders of Magic right now. So yeah, it's still low.
We're still early, baby. And yeah, I'm conscious we've been going for over an hour now, and I'm amped up, so I know we can go 3 more hours just talking about everything we're excited for. But I'd love to open up the floor to some questions if we have time for that, and see what the community has to say. So yeah, let's go ahead and get it started. I'll start inviting some people up here, and feel free to request if you guys have any questions. Bonus points if you have a small brain or one of the Treasure ecosystem NFTs. All right, Primal Key, looks like you're up. Can you hear us?
Yeah, how you doing? It just took a second for me to get connected. I was wondering what the best resource is to find out about the mints that happen on Magic or TreasureDAO. I guess it's on Arbitrum.
Yeah. So there's our official projects or our official partners, which are a handful. There's Peekaboo going on right now, Battlefly, Toadstools, Enjoyers, and then the whole Smallverse kind of has ongoing airdrop mints as we build out the game. And then a lot of community members have actually been building out what derivatives exist. So like, I don't want to shout out anyone without disregarding another. So I can just give you some resources. So something like, I think Smallpad is a good resource on their Twitter. I don't think their website's released yet.
So it's called Smallpad.
Yeah, Smallpad. And then there's another one, Treasure Map, which I'm not sure is live yet either. But yeah, if you just talk with the small community, I think there's like a small alpha server too. They're all about capturing all the derivatives mint happening on Arbitrum.
Cool. And I just had one other question. I heard somebody mention the emissions on Magic. Can you stake Magic without being in one of those liquidity pools?
Yeah, that's a good thing to go over. So what we have right now is our Atlas mine on Bridgeworld. So that would be bridgeworld.treasure.lol is the site. And it's kind of following the curve model. So you deposit your Magic, your capital, and then depending on how long you lock it up and what type of NFTs you have, that'll boost your capital, right? So not a direct APY or APR boost, but that boosts the percentage of capital you deposit, and then you get emissions based on that.
Cool. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks for your question, Primal. And we'll go to a Hyper next. Can you hear us, Hyperstrike?
Oh, hello. How's it going, everyone? Sorry. Not so much a question. Just wanted to hop on and say how much I'm grateful for TreasureDAO and the entire Bridge World game. I've been so excited for it to come out, and now that it's fully out, and most of the UI bugs are fixed, and we're good to go on most things, and what do you call it? We're moving on to, you know, creating harvesters soon. I'm just getting super excited and just wanted to hop on and say thank you for everything. Treasure and the entire ecosystem has changed my life.
I appreciate it, man. It's like similar sentiments here.
I mean, I would also like to add, I've been with, you know, Treasure from the very start. It was like super late in the night and DGen hours, and we were just minting all types of things, you know, like text on a back, back background, and it was just pretty awesome to see how everything evolved. I was actually in one of your earlier Treasure spaces, uh, almost starting to FUD just based on like you know what was going on at the time. But I was just, you know, every when I spoke with, I don't know who I spoke with, but basically I was just like, you know, I don't know anything about gaming, and you know the response was just like, oh, let us send you, you know, what we look, you what we think it's going to be like, kind of like Runscape. And someone DM'd me that, and I started looking into it, and then how everything evolved to how it is today. I'm, you know, at first I just want to say sorry for even coming in like that, but also, you know, now I'm just super grateful for how everything has turned out, and congratulations to you guys.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Hyper. Yeah, no, it's great to hear, you know, how positively Treasures and Smalls have impacted you. So really appreciate you coming up here.
Thank you.
We will go to Cough Drop next.
Hey everyone. Just want to say I'm an OG Small and a Metaverse HQ member. My question has to deal with one of the things I'm most excited for, the Trove Marketplace. A lot of my friends, my normie friends, have been priced out of ETH due to gas fees, and they're reverting to the Solana ecosystem. And I've been getting them on to looking into Trove. I basically wanted to see if there's any updates with how that's going, and regarding the Treasure Marketplace versus Trove, like how curated is it gonna continue to be? Like the difference between them going forward.
Yeah, so we actually have an announcement coming soon about Trove. For all those who don't know, that's our generic marketplace. So we have a curated marketplace right now, live, that just hosts our own collections. But for Trove, we wanted to, yeah, kind of have a funnel for the community to help, you know, be the generic marketplace that they want to list on. But if you think of it as like a bazaar, right? You have the treasure marketplace in the middle, where kind of the majority of the magic activity happens, and then as you get out to the outskirts is kind of where more of the niche stuff happens, and maybe their goal is to kind of work towards their way towards the middle. But yeah, sorry, I forgot the first part of your question.
Just how do you plan on expanding the Treasure Marketplace, or is that going to be very, very curated for the time to come?
Yeah, so right now it is an application process. So it's I'm not the best person to actually answer this question. If Jumpman or up here, or someone else, but I mean, it will be curated at the beginning because it's a new infrastructure product. So we don't want to just, you know, have this platform that can kind of get overrun by cheap mints, especially, or not cheap mints, but, you know, cheap projects that don't have long-term interests in mind, especially since we have some sort of, or these elements to Trove, such as the recycling program, where you know, you put in your unwanted NFTs and get a chance at getting a treasure NFT. But yeah, no, some other details about Trove, just for the audience to understand, is that it will be hosted on Arbitrum, but we're partnering with Composable Finance's Mural product. So that would be an NFT bridge across all EVM chains.
Awesome, thank you.
And then I'll post I'll pin the the Trove white paper up on the space too.
Yo, thanks for stopping in, Cough Drop. MVHQ fam, hey? Yo, we got another one as well. Mindful, what's good? Repping the Azuki, looking sexy, my friend.
Yo, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. First and foremost, thank you guys to MVHQ and TreasureDAO for bringing this value to the community. My question for the TreasureDAO, two-part question. First off, why did you guys choose Arbitrum? And secondly, are there any specific projects or mechanisms or systems that you're looking forward to seeing implemented into this Magic ecosystem?
We're the only one on the team going to be answering these questions.
You said it again? Sorry, I wasn't listening.
Yeah, sure thing. I was just wondering why you guys went and chose Arbitrum as a layer 1, and also if there's any specific projects or systems or mechanisms that you're looking forward to being implemented into this Magic ecosystem.
Yeah, that question was asked in the earlier spaces too. That's funny. So I should definitely know this. But my understanding is that what happened with, so I'm new on the team here, but my
I can
understanding
hop in T1. I don't mind. Yeah, that we just chose it because, yeah, the DeFi partnerships, we primarily think of ourselves as a DeFi protocol. It seemed strong there. It is strong on Arbitrum, and L2 seemed inevitable for NFTs. But one thing that happened to us that was very fortunate was we didn't fully appreciate how limited the NFT infrastructure was until we were pretty far along in our decision making. But that meant that we didn't have any marketplace that could really attack this fragile thing we were building. So we just built something we were proud of, and naturally, took users from L1 like that without them being able to take them back from us. So yeah, it just really worked out in our favor. And then Sisu, you answer the partnerships part?
Yeah, sorry, what was the partnership question?
Sure. I mean, not so much partnerships, but like, is there anything personally maybe that you guys are looking forward to being implemented into this whole ecosystem that you guys are built, right? I mean, it's like a based on loot ethos, so it's very interoperable to different ideas, different systems. So I'm just wondering if you guys have anything that you think would just fit in cool, or just maybe ideas you guys maybe had, or anything you're looking forward to.
Yeah, no, I think you nailed it kind of with what our direction is, interoperability and composability. What John said earlier about DeFi having a low moat cost is important to note too, and how NFT communities, that's kind of the gateway to a community, right, is the NFT. And so when you build out these NFT communities, you can then tack on all these DeFi protocols as well. So it becomes a very additive thing. So nothing's off limits in a way, and we want to build something new and exciting, and we kind of already have done that too with a lot of the stuff we've already done, like the protocol on liquidity through the balancer crystals. So I'm going to coin the term ecosystem owned liquidity. But yeah, so like we're continuing to build out infrastructure as well to advance what DeFi is and what it means for DeFi and NFTs and gaming to exist.
Yeah, I have something to add to that real quick. Just because it's so. One other thing that I think that I'm looking forward to, and I think everyone would agree that we're all looking forward to, is not just from like the team's perspective, but just providing the tools for other builders to create things that we can't comprehend. So like, it's not necessarily about what we can do that's really cool next. I'm more excited about what people can do and how I can help them. To kind of bring it back to something that was brought up earlier about like our bounty board. I've already like talked to people who I can say unbiasedly are like 10 to 100 times smarter than me, and they have all these really cool ideas, but they have no idea how to get started. So me personally, I'm excited to help them start their vision and include themselves in our ecosystem of things, and just grow the DAO in that way. And I thought that was important to share.
Yeah. Just to add on to that, we're not sure if we are looking at any particular ideas or projects to partnership with, but as the original idea for Treasure is that we make and nurture a space for projects or any kind of community to come into and build easily. So we create these magic tokens, and then the composable resources and and building blocks. So anyone can kind of just come in and then easily find contributors that are in the same space, and then build on top of the magic ecosystem. So we're not looking at any particular ideas, but we are nurturing ways for people to come up with ideas and build on top of us.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. And if I can just piggyback, I don't want to hog the stage too much, but if I can just dive deeper, lead into that idea of tools, can you guys elaborate on like specifically what tools and ideas that you guys are offering for people? Like, why would somebody come and build on this ecosystem or in this ecosystem?
I guess I'm not sure if I was the best person to answer this, but Treasures and Legions, for example, we already have a tools that are already functioning, and with Magic, we already have an ecosystem, like an economy that is functioning. And then I believe when people inject their projects into this economy, it makes it much easier for them. They don't have to build a token from the ground up. They don't have to build any kind of resources completely from the ground up. They can maybe build half of the project and then inject it into the ecosystem, and then there will be a functioning economy they can just pick back off of. And I guess on top of it, there's also the community side, because we have cultivated this idea that community can come in and build on top of the ecosystem. There's a lot of people in the community who are very willing to connect with other people and then build something new together. I guess if you wanted to build a project outside of Treasure, you would have to find people in a different way, and I would assume it would be pretty difficult to build things out of scratch. But Treasure just made a space for people to nurture that kind of development.
So to like conceptualize that with like an example, so in Bridgewell more specifically, we have like quests and crafting recipes. So someone could actually tentatively propose something to the DAO to build like a whole questing pathway, or even propose like different type of consumable than the one that we currently have. And then subject to approval, they could actually like integrate that with like the treasures and legions. So I use this example often in that Donkey DAO wants a quest line specific to focusing on donkeys, which is a type of treasure. So they can tentatively submit that to the DAO, and then upon like approval, it could be like legions go on battle to find this like donkey boss, which drops like a really rare item that can be crafted into something like donkey specific. So like a mount, for example. So that's just one way of how people can come and build on the Bridgewell system, and that extends beyond Bridgewell as well.
That's awesome. Thank you guys for your elaborate and transparent answers, man. Good luck to you guys. And thank you, MVHQ, of course.
Much love, brother.
Thanks,
Mike.
Donkeys.
Pleasure. And we got Satoshi, who's been waiting very patiently. Go ahead.
Yeah, hey, what's up, guys? How's everybody doing? I wanna say something if I may. But I want to give a little bit of a background. I've been in crypto for a while. I learned about Bitcoin since like 2013. My first purchase was like at $30-$40 per coin. I learned about Ethereum around 2016. My first purchase of Ethereum was like $12, $14, and I've been following the space, the whole time. Obviously I didn't see everything in the space, but I've seen a lot. I've been around during the whole ICOs, and projects were raising millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, and I'm just taken aback, and I'm amazed at how this project did not raise any money at all, did not ask for any money, and has shipped out more product than like protocols and projects that raise hundreds of millions. And you guys have shipped out more in such a short amount of time than any of these projects, and you asked for nothing. That's amazing to me. I've been involved with this treasure. I minted them during the time when the contract was on Twitter. And a lot of my friends minted too, but they didn't want to fractionalize because of the whole gas cost. I went through and fractionalized it. I was like, why not? I'm in it, and it cost a little bit of gas, but you know what? It paid off. And I watched this whole community build from like a grassroots movement where it was just community members and they're building stuff, and then they become part of the core team. I haven't watched it too carefully, but I've been watching it a little bit from the side, and it's been amazing. And a lot of things that I like is like from the beginning, any big decisions were always put up on Snapshot and voted upon. And obviously the community backs you guys so much, where like it was overwhelming votes. It was like 99% for almost anything you guys proposed. So one thing I want to say is like, hats off, you guys are amazing for building so much in such a short amount of time and raising nothing, aside from, like the seed rounds now, but that's, you started with nothing. And that whole movement of doing everything where it's like you're proposing everything to the community, and it's not like, you're just making all the decisions from the beginning. It was like that. And I would like to see that, like, I'm looking forward to that continuing, where you would, involve the community on votes like that. And obviously the community backs you. So, just having that track record of, all the decisions were always snapshotted and they were always, proposed, and everybody voted on them. It's nice because, and looking at it back, you can see all that. And new people coming into the space, they can see all that too. They can see all the decisions were made, unanimously online, and obviously everybody backs you anyways. So I would like to see that continue. And yeah, I just wanted to say those few words. You guys are amazing. Keep providing value, And another thing is that, like, I like that whole idea of how the NFTs blew up, and and most of these NFTs, like 99% of them, don't do anything. Like obviously there's some historical NFTs, like punks and whatnot, and they're very valuable for their historical reasons. But like, and the whole idea of in DeFi is very like people will jump from one project to another because they're just looking for yield. And NFTs where people like connect to it, they identify with it, and they're not so quick sometimes to sell it. They want to be part of that community. The community here that's been built up, and the co-communities like with the co-projects have been built up so amazingly that now there's utility with them as well. And bridging those things together, like I'm really bullish on that aspect for the future. I think it's an amazing aspect, and I think it's gonna go far. Like in a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, historical NFTs are valuable. But what about historical NFTs that build communities? Historical NFTs that build communities with DeFi integrated in them, and utility for those NFTs. Like that's huge, at least potential wise, coming like from my point of view, and my experience. But yeah, I don't want to give too much, take too much of the time. I don't really have any specific questions. I just wanted to say you guys are amazing, and I'm looking forward to everything you guys continue to do.
I got rubbed there momentarily.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Did you guys
Yeah,
hear me?
no, I heard you. Yeah, no. What was brought up earlier in an earlier space by one of the defrag founders is, the big don't eat the small, but the fast eat the slow, and I think that is what we're about too. And like what you said about community feedback, yeah, like we're always chatting with our OGs about kind of what are our ideas going forward, or I'm always looking and ends looking, and our mods and interns are always kind of have their eyes on the ground about what good ideas are, and how we can incorporate that, because yeah, we don't have all the answers either, and some of the best ideas come from new faces as well. So yeah, no, we're definitely continuing those ethos for sure.
And I think like a huge success of Treasure is like a testament to like the community. So people like Monopoly, Akane, Carol, Sunny, who's like always posting and like advertising of Magic and then writing descriptive threads on Twitter. There's also like the analytics guys in the Discord channel who post like really informative data-driven graphs, talking about like Magic, Legions, and Treasure, flaws, etc. So I think it's the strength of the community that propelled us to where we are today, and I think it's something that's going to continue moving forward as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I like that, how different community members are providing stuff like the graph analytics, and honestly, I think the small brains was a big thing too, because people liked those NFTs, and they identified with them, they caught on with them, and I think that gave us a lot of publicity too, So yeah, I like all that, but I would say, throw something up on the proposal, even if it's like you're gonna change that, and that's the best change to do, because everybody's gonna back you anyways, most likely, and it's just gonna look bad. It's gonna look good, like in a year from now, all the changes you make, like even just like the simple change to crafting, it didn't even come out yet, but maybe I'm overdoing it, but like changes like that, if you throw it on a proposal, everybody will back it, and it's not going to make a difference. Technically, everything became the same, but a year from now, it'll look nice that everything was proposed. You get what I'm saying? And I don't want to take it too far, but like I trust you guys, and I know the community here backs you guys. But when you do it like that, I think it's very powerful, because that's how it was from the beginning, and I want to see that continue. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Similar sentiments. Let's get some other people's up here and see what.
All right, cool.
Yeah, thank you for your comments, Satoshi. And we got Omakase up here now. How you doing?
Hey, good guys. How's it going?
What's up, fam? Omakase, by the way, brother.
Yeah, what's going on? Oh man, what's up, fam? I just wanted to say, like, just big applause to Treasure, dude, because it's really difficult to, in this space where there are so many VCs and like VC-backed projects that are just like operating under the guise of decentralization. It's so difficult to like build good product and build community and also actually operate in a genuine and decentralized manner, that it's like just serious applause to you guys, because like like we have a dev stack, and it just in getting a group of humans to get organized around a single task and like complete that task is a challenge in and of itself. And like it's just like seeing actual organic decentralized communities emerge makes me really happy in this space where we have like I'm not going to name names, but like we all know like the big VCs and funds and centralized sort of like scavengers on the ecosystem that like just charge massive fees and dump all their ETH for a private money valuation every month. Not naming names.
No,
But
let's name names. I'm about it. Let's choose violence. All right, so
Broken Sea, like, I mean, it's just like you have people, you have these entities that are just like so adversarial to all of their customers, right? It's like you have Broken Sea as a marketplace, and they're here just like dumping 25 to 30,000 ETH all over everyone's head for fiat every single month to like pump up their private money valuation. And then you got like, you guys are just like quiet in the background, like building on Arbitrum, I'm sure looking at roll ups, like just actually like building a community organized product that then has like utility that can be integrated into multiple NFT projects, have cross compatibility. It's a really big deal versus just people who are just like looking at it from an extractive mindset rather than a generative mindset. And like I'm super bullish on that. And like
yeah,
our team, we will all be investing in your project for sure. Like we just pulled it up and got wallets ready. So yeah, we're stoked, dude. And like if you want to check out what we're doing, we probably have some tools that like if we talk about it, we would love to like integrate in your platform and stuff like that as well. So
yeah, let's talk later. But no, I
yeah.
think that is a really important point. Everything was fair launch. Even John didn't even take Magic the token, because he's actually an N whale, and could have farmed all of his N for Magic, and probably would have been, I don't even know. It would probably be, up in the hundreds of millions by now. But like these platforms like Looks Rare, they went out to all the influencers and gave them huge pre-token discount at like 10 cents, and then it went public at $3. It's like that's not crypto decentralization. That's not what we're aiming for, for the world or for long term or anything like that. So yeah, no, and maybe Treasure at the beginning didn't get enough attention because we wanted to do the fair way, but now,
Well,
yeah,
it's harder to build the fair way, right? Like it's actually more difficult to build in a fair and open manner because you don't have like initial beneficiaries who are there and willing to basically just like shill and pump their own bags, right? So it's like it requires people like really being dedicated to the product and the community and understanding what the value proposition is and working together to build it versus some type of like there's an artificial short-term hype that drives that, and like there are people who gain massive sort of like free liquidity from a game of musical chairs, and then they're able to sort of drive the conversation and like create instances for confirmation bias to occur in the wider populace. So yeah, applause, man.
yeah, say it louder for the people in the back.
Yeah, I mean it's just hard. Like there's so much good tech being built right now, but it's difficult. Like the best builders are not the best marketers. The best builders are not the best marketers necessarily, and the most ethical people are not the ones who are necessarily generating the most rapid short-term returns for people who have social influence and are going to go out and promote what's going on because they have an immediate financial incentive to do so. So
No, yeah, 100%, and that is a huge issue of what I see in a lot of the culture on CT. Yeah, people just getting in early and not caring about any long-term incentives or conviction, and just wanting to see their own financial gain. But hey, we're trying to change it. But yeah, let's get some other people ask some questions for us, and maybe we can choose violence.
Yeah, thanks for coming up, Omakasi. And looks like we got Shared Verse up now. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Tiki from Sharedverse. I'm a host on Clubhouse. Also, I've been working on a project recently, and I have a couple of questions for you guys. But first off, like, congrats on all the success. I think your model is, obviously innovative and very different from what we've seen out there. I've been listening in, and I've been wondering how we can be, closer or a part of TreasureDAO. So the questions are a bit specific, and I hope that they help other people as well, because we are building a project, and it's involving building our own metaverse as well. So I'm just wondering, the two questions are like, how do we integrate with the whole Treasure ecosystem? If we have our own metaverse, and it's a smaller scale, and yeah, like, how do we go about that?
Yeah, it's a good question. Right now we have a couple forms for people to fill out, just to kind of organize. One of them is in the Partnership Prospects channel in the Discord. There's also also on the Trove Twitter. I think it's replied to the pinned tweet. So that would probably be the best way, just so we can get back to you in a fast way.
Sounds good. I'll get on that, and yeah, looking forward to see how we can also integrate, because we have collectibles coming up, which I'm not gonna mention the name. If you guys wanna check it out, just follow some of the stuff we've got on our tweets, and you'll kind of be able to figure out what that mystery is. And once that comes out, we've got kind of a roadmap, which is we're gonna have our own metaverse. And I think what you guys have proposed here kind of sounds like really exciting. I think that we are small. We're small enough that we can manage our own metaverse, but not big enough that we can manage a wider ecosystem. So I think that integrating with a bigger ecosystem like you guys makes a lot of sense. So I'm hoping that it works out, and I'll start with checking out those forms. So thanks again.
Awesome. Thank you for your time, and thanks for tuning in. We got a few more here. Conscious we're coming up on 2 hours, so we'll try to keep it brief with some of the next ones, but trying to find who got up here. I know we got Derek. Oh, we got Arkanic up here. How are you doing?
Yo, what's up, man? First of all, thanks, guys, for hosting this space. As always, love to come up here and kind of share my insights as per usual whenever I can. I want to go back to the previous speaker, what they said earlier in terms of the entire fairness distribution model. One of the reasons why I've been in Treasure for as long as I have, and I kind of stick by it every day, you know, more so than all the other projects that are currently on L1, is pretty much due to this fact. This is one of the biggest reasons why I was kind of pulled in to this entire ecosystem, is because of their completely fair distribution model. And I feel like, you know, I actually had a thread written about this that I hadn't posted out on my own Twitter about minting and free mints in light of everything that's happened here recently in the space. You have certain projects, which shall not be named, taking in over 50, 60, 70 million dollars right before they even have a finished product on hand, draining liquidity from the space at large. Essentially, I mean, to a certain extent, you may consider that a rug, or you may consider it a work in development. I don't know what type of investor you are, but first of all, you have those, right, who charge absurd amounts for minting a product that's not even fully released. And second, you have projects that have an entire secret group of whales or investors, right, who get first dibs on everything and who get extremely, extremely cheap prices, while the rest of us investors who are not in that secret group kind of take the hit, right, and we're subject to them kind of dumping on us at any point in time. I feel like where the space inevitably will head to in due course, and this is going to be through its trials and tribulations, I think that we're going to see a time in which Treasure, projects like Treasure, projects like NFT Worlds, for example, they are going to be leading the torch, holding the torch in terms of this model that they've adopted and how they've kind of driven value to this free to mint, fair distribution model. And you know, we're right in saying that this is a very hard thing to accomplish, and having a community that can actually benefit and be happy with what they have, what they've gotten for free, is very hard to do. But Treasure has done a phenomenal job in adding utility, keeping things interesting, coming up with little twists and turns at every angle to keep all the holders of these NFTs and their ecosystem satisfied. I think in due time we're going to see a phase in the NFT landscape where a lot of people kind of turn away from these ridiculously priced mints and look towards actual builders who want to showcase their product for free by giving it to those people, and then working their asses off to create a utility, create a use case for that product. And that's basically what I wanted to share. And I think we're getting there day by day. And I think Treasure is doing a phenomenal job in being kind of at the forefront of that revolution to a certain extent.
Yeah, 100%. It definitely is a bottom up versus top down dichotomy. And you know, some builders can't afford free mints, and that's also what we're trying to help out with through you know, our grants program or request for proposal bounty board type of stuff. But yeah, no, it's, you shouldn't have to say what your value is before you even built it, right? That just doesn't make sense. You wouldn't value a company based off of hype or anything like that. You would base it off of their track record. And when it is free, it allows you to have that natural price progression too.
Let's keep up the great work, guys. Love being here.
Thanks, Arcanet. Appreciate you listening. Appreciate your contribution here. And we will go to Derek next.
Yeah, thanks for having me up. Thank you to Treasure and HQ and everyone's that's speaking. Definitely agree with everything that Arcanic was saying. One thing that I've been curious about, actually, the reason why I've been following everything that you guys have been doing is just for the visual identity, the branding, and and being an art director and a brand designer for like over 15 years, it's something that really caught my attention, the way that the team has been going about just simple things like typography and keeping everything consistent is something that I feel like is hard to do, especially with a lot of projects that involve large developer teams or a lot of input from a lot of people. So I would just be curious to hear how you guys are managing the visual graphics and the overall branding from a team perspective. And because for me, just as a visual designer, I think it's pretty awesome, especially as rapidly as you guys are putting stuff out. It's cool to see it stay visually consistent. So yeah, thanks.
Timarege, that's yeah.
Yeah, that is a question for me. So on that note, at the start of Treasure, we just had a designer just come up with a bunch of graphics, and we just wrote on top of that to come up with all these graphics that go in line with the original graphics that we had. There were no particular plans or structures that a corporate structure, like a company or like a proper project would have. It sort of we just worked on it while rolling on top of the project. I guess that would be a pretty bad answer to this, but that is how we rolled it. But we are also looking to do a brand refresh pretty soon, maybe the next quarter or so. So do please look forward to that. Does that actually answer your question?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I would just also be curious too, to like, do you have brand designers or art directors, like people in charge of those elements or those parts of the process, working with the developers and like everyone else? I'm just curious about like how you guys go about designing like the white paper or other things like that, like making sure that all the elements on front of site and everything are consistent.
I just want to hop in before Tim answers that question, because he might be too humble. He used to be the head of graphics at Netflix.
Whoa. So on that note, I technically am on Treasure as art director or creative director, but I don't control too much of anything. It somehow has come to be that a lot of the contributors and artists that we utilize are in line and they just know what we are as Treasure, and then they look at what we already have in Treasure in terms of branding and graphics, and then they match it to what we have. And somehow, without too much input from me, it has come to be that a lot of the graphics and branding that we have is very unified, other than the Legion and small brains and assets that are a little bit chaotic. So it has been quite freeform, but it has worked out.
That's awesome. That's cool to hear. And yeah, like I said, I appreciate that. Like I geek out on typography and well designed projects and things like that. So I come from a graphic design background, and sort of like a little different perspective from maybe some people getting into NFTs. But I feel like the more and more that I'm on the space and in this ecosystem specifically, but also bounce around others. I involve myself in projects that I feel like are strong design wise and cohesive, and obviously this is one of them. And there's so many. Obviously there's so many great aspects to this entire ecosystem, and that I just get more and more bullish every single day. But yeah, anyway, just wanted to say thank you for sharing about that, because I'm always curious about that as an artist and a designer. So thanks.
Yep, just on that, it is a very interesting thing. I have seen a lot of projects on Web3 that just skip over a lot of things. So it is something that also interests me a lot. Treasure somehow has done well on that front. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, great question, Derek. And we got Sony up next.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks for hosting the space, Sisu and the MBHQ team. Nice to meet you guys. Really quick, I think it was Mitch. Were you the one that said like you played the games like RuneScape and MapleStory?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that brought back. I haven't heard MapleStory being mentioned from all the gamers, but that's awesome because we have like a few ex-League of Legends players and RuneScape OGs invested in Magic. So it's good to hear MapleStory thrown in that too because I haven't really heard much MapleStory.
Had to. You gotta break down the roots, man. I would love to see like a NFT based MapleStory game. And you mentioned the League. Like I am a recovering League addict, and I happy I found NFTs instead.
Dude, I would go broke on LBs if the MapleStory was in NFTs.
And the gachapon aspect and stuff like that. That's what it reminds me of the NFT space. One thing I wanted to point out was that, I think we've seen a lot of people in the space come up and talk about their own projects and how to integrate with Magic, which is a big deal that I think some people overlook because there's so many builders in this space that recognize how professional Magic is and how big it can grow that they're trying to get on the Magic ecosystem. And this reminds me of like the alt season when we had like exchanges and rumors of exchange listings with different altcoins, like one Binance, one Coinbase, and coins would pump up like crazy when they would get listed or accepted. And it kind of reminds me because we have like the Etherworks migrating onto treasures, and we have like the shrooms, the mushrooms migrating over to Arbitrum under the treasure umbrella. And if you see the prices as of like what they were trading at before those announcements, I'm pretty sure that both of those projects, Etherworks, I think, I got a few at 1 Ethereum floor, and I think the highest it got to today was maybe like 4.5 Ethereum. So it's amazing to see how that kind of translates to not one Binance, one Coinbase, but now it's like one Magic. Can my project be integrated with Magic? And we have so many different derivatives working around Treasure as well. So I think that's a huge deal that some people might be overlooking, but I don't know, what are your thoughts? And then I wanted to ask the Treasure team too, because I don't know much about Etherworks. I kind of understand like their game is similar into Bridge World, but what were like the discussions early on in the stages of you guys reaching out to their team, or their team reaching out to you guys? How did they even get introduced to Magic, and how did you guys decide to integrate them?
It's a good question. Unfortunately, I wasn't the one to make those decisions. Ender, Tim, do you know?
I can shed some light. So I think you caught us at the tail end of a conversation with Battlefly, with Ben for Battlefly, and Battlefly has chosen, I believe, 20 partners for their like one-of-one like collections. Metaverse HQ being one of those partners, and that's where the partnership was I guess rooted. But I know Etherworks. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're not on Arbitrum. They're on a different blockchain. I believe I want to say Polygon, but I don't know. I don't play that game.
No, yeah. So Etherworks is one of our original partnerships with Treasure back in like October or November. They're on ETH, but they have their own scaling solution, I believe. So you can still operate on ETH, but have a like a light bridge between the game and ETH. But what I'm pretty sure that like the founders of Etherworks and the heads, the core team of Treasure, it just aligned with the ethos perfectly because Etherworks was also a free mint and just kind of the value that was ascribed to their system was kind of the same way. It just grew organically, and so partnership seemed just really ideal at the time. Yeah, that's all I can say about that because I wasn't a part of that conversation.
Gotcha. Thanks. Yeah, if you see like the prediction of which L1 has those ethos and you try to buy those probably before Magic integrations, it's just kind of a speculative play right there. But thank you, and then I'll get off. What last thing I want to say is the upcoming project coming out, guys, is called Seed of Life. It's made by Jumpman. It is undervalued, and if you want more alpha, then you have to DM End because he has all the alpha on that. But that's coming out in February, so watch out for it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for joining, Sonny.
Classic Sonny show.
We've got
It's not
we
in
got
my
Reggie
project.
Ooh, sorry about that. We got Reggie on stage, just trying to move it along. It's been 2 hours. Want to respect everyone's time. Reggie, what's going on? Can you hear us?
Hey, what's going on? How are you guys?
Hey.
Aren't you supposed to be at the Olympics? What are you doing here?
Nah. I'm a winter. I'm a Summer Olympic sport. It's the Winter Olympics right now. Yeah, I've definitely been tapping into Twitter space these past 2 weeks. Actually, this past week, learning more about NFTs. So I appreciate you guys for bringing me up as a speaker and letting me share my perspective on NFTs and answer questions and kind of just be a part of the project and the movement right now. So I appreciate you guys.
Of course, brother. I'm curious how a serious professional athlete finds the way into NFTs.
Yeah, so I would say from being an Olympic athlete and traveling all over the world, I've been to 30 countries. You get to see how money is made in every different facet of a country, every ecosystem, and pretty much I want to say back in November, I was shooting a commercial for Delta Airlines. If you fly any Delta Airlines flight, you will see me on the commercial. If you look at any commercial on TV, I will be on that commercial, by the way. So yeah, the director, he had an NFT collection that he dropped. He's an artist. Obviously, he's a creator as well. And he pretty much introduced me to NFTs then. And I want to say maybe 2 months later, I was on vacation in Cancun, ended up getting COVID towards the end of that vacation. So I was pretty much on the beach for 2 days with my laptop. And I decided, since I had a lot of time on my hand, let's research NFTs and pretty much see where things go. And it's been a blessing for these past 3 weeks. Like, honestly, grew my portfolio to 20K, sold off half of it in the past 3 days, and I'm just waiting for the next move and stacking my ETH. And just being in these Twitter spaces, I've been able to learn and navigate properly and kind of learn from other people's mistakes and then ask questions that I have along the way. So I appreciate you guys.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
it's cool hearing your perspective.
Yeah, we're happy this space is open to not just like pure NFT degens, but also people trying to learn. I think that's the whole point, right? Is well, even for me especially, I was definitely taking this time to learn about TreasureDAO more and see how I could sort of invest into this ecosystem. So I'm taking the same approach as you, but yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on board and welcome to the NFT space.
Yeah, a few weeks ago I had an opportunity to invest in a DAO when it was, I think, $1 per. I don't know. It was very cheap at that time, but I was still learning and I wasn't able to capitalize. And that DAO is doing amazing. So anything that says DAO on it, I'm definitely trying to tune in, trying to see what it is and just learn. And I would say the easiest gap that helped me to learn about NFTs was during the 2020 year. Basically, if you're an athlete, you weren't going to make your salary. So I pretty much learned how to navigate in the stock market, turn 5K to 40, and then GameStop came along, and I got a little reckless and actually turned that 40K into 80. Got lucky as hell and got out. But just trading over that year, it taught me how to just look at graphs, charts, and then I kind of bridged the gap to cryptos and NFTs because I really feel like each NFT collection is like a Nike or like a Tesla. It's like those companies, but they don't have 70 years, 10 years, 15 years in the physical world to build that network. So you kind of got to just learn from the physical world and kind of apply that learning curve to NFTs, and that's kind of what helped me be successful in these past 3 weeks.
Nice. That's awesome to hear. I think there's a really good parallel too with real world brands with IP. Like traditional IP, you establish your Netflix series or your video game, and that's how the IP is developed. But with NFTs, you mint your character or whatever, and then you have to build your way up to the game or to the movie.
Mm-hmm. And I agree. Also, pretty much, if you look at how history repeats itself, so if you look at how those companies established themselves in the physical world, pretty much that's going to be an aggressive version of the NFT community right now, because everyone's trying to jockey for the limelight. Those same physical companies are trying to jockey for limelight on TV in the same realm, and I feel like there's a lot of correlation between that, so you can kind of pick up trends and figure out which projects are kind of fake projects, which projects are money grabs, and those same physical companies are offering that same type of learning and understanding.
Nice, yeah. No, I'd love to give you a whitelist to like Battlefly or something like that if you haven't already have it.
No, I don't know what Battlefly is, but I definitely love to learn about it. And I did have an NFT question. That's why I really popped in here. So I just finished my workout, and usually towards the end of my workouts, I've been putting on the Twitter Spaces because I like to listen to podcasts, instead of music sometimes, especially when I'm in that learning type of environment. Like I really want to pick up something while I'm, just got my brain on autopilot mode, lifting some weights. And so if you guys can answer my question, I would greatly appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. We're all ears.
Okay, so this is more like there's no real answer, but I want you guys to turn on like your innovation caps, just kind of think about peek into the future for a little bit. So what do you guys think is the next big innovation move that NFT collections are going to have to do in order to set themselves apart from other collections? As we all know, competition breeds success. So you can't do the same thing. You can't do, PFPs as much. You can't do 2D models. Now you're just trying to get into 3D renditions. Now they're starting to have animations. And obviously you can't just offer Bali, mansion parties and offer Lamborghinis. Like you kind of got to step outside the box to kind of cultivate that community. So what do you guys think would be the next thing that NFT collections are going to do to set themselves apart?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think utility is the big one, where a lot of these profile pictures, their utility ends at the visual, clout in a way. But what we're doing at Treasure, right, is well for Bridge World, kind of the game that just came out, we're defining an economic system that operates independent of what already exists. So you can have the utility of your player and your resources and gain economic outcomes from that way without any of these other types of inputs. And so that's kind of achieved through a lot of the DeFi mechanisms. So borrowing, lending, collateralization, and coming up with new innovations like oracles for metadata for NFTs to exist across chains.
Are you talking about play to earn, or is this something different?
Yeah, play to earn, pay to play. It's all kind of what we're operating under, and so that's what Battlefly was. What I was mentioning earlier is more of a. It's like instead of a play to earn, it's more of like a It's an exchange of your time to earn, rather than the biggest whale is going to achieve the best outcome. But it's more of a function of how much time you put in as a person. So it's a equalization.
Okay, and so you're saying this is the next thing that pretty much NFT collections are going to have to either catch up to or offer as a service, and it's solely going to be towards the game. How are you guys going to attract people who don't care as much about gaming? Even though I am a gamer, but other people might not value gaming.
Yeah, that is kind of the meta we're seeing right now. A lot of GameFi related tokens are going up in value just because we're seeing that utility can't just stop at a profile picture, but actually needs these extra incentives through DeFi mechanisms.
Okay.
If that answers your question.
No, yeah. I don't really have an answer. I just wanted you guys to even like think further, because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to figure out which NFT collections are going to be the future, or which ones are going to outlast, because you can't just reproduce the same roadmaps. You can't just offer the same type of artwork. And I just wanted to pick it to your guys' brain, because you guys are deeper into the NFT space than I am. I'm training most of the day. Obviously, during the morning, I'm doing some trades and research, and on my off days especially. But you guys are 24/7, just putting in the work. So.
Yeah, I mean that is kind of our goal at TreasureDAO. We build out the free mints. We don't charge $10,000 for a character or whatever, but we actually, we want people to, uh, have a free mint and then put our trust in our community and our building team to actually build out the value over time.
Is that how Bored Ape came out, or weren't they very cheap? Or I wasn't in the NFT space during that time. Obviously, I heard about it, and that's probably a reason why I'm even here, because I had exposure to it. But yeah.
No, yeah, even Bored Ape was actually like 0.08 ETH or so, and then same with Punks. They were actually a pretty expensive mint at the time. Yeah, no, it's what we're actually on the forefront of what you're talking about. A lot of this innovation of what it means to be an NFT and what it means to get into decentralized finance and have the communities build each other up.
Okay, well, yeah, I definitely love to learn more, and even partner with you guys, because this is something innovative. That's pretty much been my whole life, as an Olympic athlete and someone who had the youngest time in the sport of the Olympians for 2021. I'm the left-handed world record holder. I pretty much coming up, I had to learn how to throw. I threw. No one. A lot of people were 6'7", 6'8" Europeans who've been doing it for 15 to 20 years. And then here I came, a 6'2" African American guy, left-handed as well, where the wind is a big factor in throwing. So when I was able to overcome that through innovation and through trying to think outside the box, recreate the model in a model that could, be the way that you can do it. And if that's what you guys are doing, I definitely would love. Yeah, I appreciate that.
No, yeah. Yeah, for sure. I actually, because you're an Olympic athlete, I think one of our collections would be perfect for you. We have small bodies, or we call them swoles, and the longer you hold them, the bigger muscles they get.
Oh,
So,
hey.
yeah,
Uh,
I can send you a link later, but yeah, it works into the same type of stuff I was talking about earlier of it incorporates the gaming aspect. So there's uh financial primitives in it as well.
That's pretty dope. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, and we have the All-Star game coming up in like basically a week. And I got invited to be a speaker at the Fitness Expo. So this might be a little, shameless plug to introduce out there, because obviously there's gonna be a lot of swole heads that have been hearing about NFTs, but they don't really know how to get into them. And that's pretty much been what I've been doing with my teammates, with the training staff working on me. They're all asking me about NFTs and how you're making money, and they're just so intrigued. But the average person just doesn't, they don't know how to enter the barrier. Definitely love to bridge that gap even in that community.
Yeah, I feel you. There definitely is a disconnect between how people look at NFTs. It's more than just a picture that costs money, but it is, your entrance into a community, or it is the kind of the way how we define these alternate economic models as well. But yeah, no, I feel like you'd love the swole bodies. I'll definitely send you a link.
No, I'm excited. I do feel like the average person though is becoming more educated. Like they definitely have been seeing it so often, and obviously people just love to make money. So anytime money's being made, they're going to perk their ears up and kind of try and pay attention. And I think with the Super Bowl, you'll definitely get a lot more exposure with Snoop Dogg revealing his mutant ape or whatnot with the serum. So I think we're going to see a big change within the next 4 weeks or so.
Yeah, no, the momentum's not stopping. We'll see this definitely for our whole lives, I think. Jacob, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think Tim had something he wanted to bring up, and thank you so much for your time, Reggie. It's really cool to hear, your story and all that you overcome, and how you have become a pioneer of the NFT space for athletes everywhere. So appreciate what you're doing. Glad to have you up here, and I'll hand it off to Tim now.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Hey guys, Tay here. So just before we close off the call, then I have both put up submissions for people to put in, but we are still UI UX people and devs. So if you do have applications to submit or you're interested in it, to do our profiles and then make a submission. Cool. That was it. This was a really great talk, a really long AMA. Sure, a lot of good information was leaked and in some forms.
Yeah, no, this has been fantastic. I want to give a massive shout out to the Treasures team, as well as Battlefly for still listening, and everyone that came up to speak. Big shout out to you. Thank you for tuning in. It has been roughly, I believe, 2 hours now? I want to say. 2 hours, almost 2.5. Thank you for kicking it with us and learning more about Arbitrum and the magic that is magic, actually. I can't wait to get on board, bridge myself into your ecosystem, and starting to get cracking. I know Jacob's been shilling small brains to me for fucking forever, actually. So perhaps maybe I shall listen. And yeah, thank you for everyone tuning in again. If you want to learn more about NFTs or more about what Metaverse HQ is all about, we are an NFT alpha community of 24/7 traders, full time, around the clock, and the Treasures team is Treasures, Arbitrum, Small Brains. These are all NFTs that have been more vocally present in our community, and they have they've, for me at least, this has been a nice opportunity to learn more about how to get started, how to get my beak wet, and I really appreciate your time, Sisu, Tim, and End. Any last thoughts for the community?
Yeah, no, thank you, Mitch, and Metaverse HQ, Jacob. It was really great talking. I feel like we reached a huge audience this time.
Yeah, it's been a blast. I know we have a lot of overlap in our community, so it's great to be able to get everyone together, educate them, and just grow stronger as a whole. I'd also love to direct you guys up to the pinned tweet up there. We just launched our website today. Actually, we need to get Treasures added to the partner page down there. We're working on expanding that, but yeah, would love to. If you guys are interested in checking out Metaverse HQ, we got all the links and information you could ever need there. And Mitch and I's DMs are always open, so really appreciate everyone for coming out, and